When you voted for President Trump, that things were going to cost you more and you're going to lose money?
I never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other option.
Farmers are getting hurt very badly by the last administration. The last administration hated our farmers, like at a level that I've never seen before.
That's just hogwash. The reality is the Trump administration is the one that's harming farmers right now as we speak. What do you say, Will?
Well, I think anytime somebody asks Donald Trump a question about agriculture, he looks like a cow looking at a new gate. He has no understanding of what he's talking about. And then my grandpa would say he buries a 10-cent topic in $20 words. He just drones on and on and on. How does a farmer plan with senseless droning? We need real policy, and he ain't the guy to give it to us.
That's right.
American workers and American taxpayers have been taken advantage of for multi-generation, for decades. And it's time for somebody to stand up and put us first and put the country first and do what's best for the country, not what's best for the politicians.
Even if you as a farmer suffer.
That's right.
I mean, some people would hear that and be quite surprised that you're prepared to put your livelihood, your family's livelihood, on the line for the sake of politics.
Well, that's my duty as for being the head of my household. I've got to do what I got to do, what's going to be better for the future, better for the kids. It's not about today, it's about the long term. The long game is where the rewards are going to be.
But don't the price of tariffs and what happens in commodity markets like soybean, doesn't that affect you in the short term and affect your ability to provide for your family?
Look, tariffs will probably have a detrimental effect on soybean price in the near future. In the long term, it'll probably work out. I'm a farmer. I deal with bad weather. I deal with dry weather. I deal with torrential rains. We deal with hurricanes. What's a tariff going to do? You know, I got to raise a crop. If I was worried, I'd stay home and not raise a crop. If I was worried about it, I still got to get out there and raise my crop to get the price. If you don't get the yield, it doesn't make any difference. You know, I got to deal with all these other things. What's a tariff? I can't control.
This is breaking news. Texas farmers are sounding the alarm on this tariff war. And in more breaking news, nobody cares. Yeah, I don't know if it's just me or maybe it's some of you too, but as far as farmers sounding the alarm, I don't care. I have to admit, I don't care at all, because the last time Donald Trump was president, 100,000 farmers across the country lost their farms. Yeah. So overwhelmingly, farmers voted for this man again, knowing full well of his history the last time he was president. So from me to you, farmers, I don't care. I don't care how bad things get for you. I don't care if you lose your farm. I don't care if you, I don't care. At least I don't care to hear about it. I really don't. Because this is exactly what you voted for. And you're going to get what you voted for. You're going to get 4 more years of Donald Trump not giving a damn about farmers whatsoever. So, enjoy.
All right, guys, I didn't really want to have to get on here and do this, but I had to. These are fiberglass stakes right here. Those big, bulky stakes on the back of the truck, wooden stakes. I called 2 weeks ago to get a quote on these fiberglass stakes because we need some more stakes this year. I got a quote, 83 cents. I called the man this morning. I said, hey, I know these tariffs are crazy and everything going on. I said, what can you do me on those fiberglass stakes now if we needed a load? It's a 3-month ETA from time you place the order. He said, Taylor, he said, you don't want to hear this price and I'm about to give you. And I said, well, give it to me anyways. He said, each of those stakes now is going to be $1.74 a piece. And I said, well, you know, and I know both that we can't do that, and that's going to be impossible. So that's just to let you know a little bit of what we're going through out here on our farm and what farmers in general are going through. These tariffs, not the best thing for our country. I voted for Trump.
I wanted to start off by saying I did vote for Donald Trump. We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. So the reason that they're not able to hold up the contract is our equip program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding through the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward. I'm not the only one this is affecting. So there are other farmers in the comments saying that they're in the same boat that I'm in because they signed these contracts, and the contracts, even like, so whenever I looked into the contract, I made sure that that funding was set aside. It wasn't funding that, oh, we hope it's there whenever it's done. I made sure that that funding was set aside so that way before I made these business decisions, I knew that funding was there per contract. So they're backing out on the contract because they don't have the funding, they can't release the funds.
There's a 0% chance we're going to win this trade war against China. There's no way. 0%. And the reason why is because we need China. China doesn't need us. It's different than Mexico and Canada because the imports that go into Mexico is 70% reliant on America. Mexico needs America. When it comes to Canada, 80% of the imports that go into Canada is reliant on America. Canada needs America. China don't need America. Unfortunately, America needs China, but China don't need America. 12% of the imports that go into China is America products. They don't need us. They can live without us. And the truth is, the stuff that we're giving them, they could find it from some other country. So how are we going to win this? I'll tell you how. And my message has been consistent, and this is exactly how it's going to go down. According to the Wall Street Journal, 70% of imports that go into China, and this is how their economy is really going to suffer. It's because of America and our allies. The only way that we're going to beat China is if we're all in on it. And I guarantee that's how it's going to go down.
We've lost some of our customers in other countries because they've chosen not to abide by those trade agreements that we've had in the past.
Negbalik says selling their crops isn't the only concern they're facing at the moment.
So there are a lot of things that are made in other countries that are vital to keeping our farm equipment running. And we want to be sure that those trade relationships are good so that we can get parts.
Negbalik says South Texas sees an earlier harvest than much of the U.S. and hopes countries can agree on a new trade tariff soon.
The big player here is China because they're a huge customer for Texas agriculture products. And if we get that worked out, then we'll do the best we can with whatever the.
Who did you vote for president?
Mr. Trump.
Right?
Trump. Mr. Trump.
If the election were today, Frank, would you vote for Donald Trump?
No way. Couldn't happen. No.
You voted for President Trump. So now, in this moment, you say you're in a free fall. What is your message to him?
So I'm off the Trump train. Where I'm going for now is I got to protect my business.
Island, a wheat farmer who says he's lost $400,000 since Trump took office.
I think there was a lot of people who voted for him that want to stay loyal to him, but it's going to get to the point where financially, if it's between supporting the president or losing your family farm.
You voted for the president?
Yes, I did.
And do you support these policies which might be hurting farmers like you?
Right now, we're the ones that are taking the hit.
I think he's sort of backstabbing the main people who got him into office in the Midwest, and he just left us down.
If you want to get rid of illegal immigrants, quit eating. And that's for everybody. That's, nationwide. If you want to get rid of them, quit eating. That'll solve the problem.
But when only 5 pickers showed up this morning to harvest his sweet potatoes, farmer Keith Smith saw possible ruin, the loss of his $500,000 crop.
They're running scared because of this new law.
And you're in trouble.
I'm in trouble, bad trouble.
Smith's 200 acres need 20 pickers, mostly Mexican nationals.
There is not enough documented people here to supply that workforce.
Most of your workers are here illegally.
That's sure. If they got documentation, they got a better job than working for me.
Fernando Aldeman, a Mexican national, has worked Smith's farm since 1992.
Everybody's just scared.
Yeah.
Now, are you here legally? No.
No.
So, are you scared?
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared,
Smith's pickers make about $100 a day. He supports immigration laws, just not this one that threatens his third-generation family.
Whoa, 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 what is going on in Texas? Texas is taking a 1, 2, 3 punches. First with farmers. Oh, farmers are taking it on the chin. These tariffs are no good for farmers in Texas. But that's not it. $60 oil? $60 oil for oil companies down in Texas? Yeah, loss of jobs and companies going bankrupt is on the menu. Yeah, $60 oil in Texas, no bueno. And the third hit to the stomach happened today. Yeah, China's saying no to Texas beef. Yeah, China will not be receiving Texas beef anymore. So that is 3 punches that Texas just can't take. Farmers, the oil, and now the beef. Texas is in real trouble. What are they gonna do? I don't know, but as long as these tariffs hang around, it's gonna keep getting worse and worse and worse, and Texas is now in big trouble. Like and follow for more.
I just think it's funny that the morally superior liberals are so quick to be like, Trump's a felon, he's a bad guy, and all these things. Yeah, you know, and they're like, no, felons should be able to vote and do all these things. They're like, unless it's Donald Trump. But George Floyd was apparently an amazing person, so.
Well, George Floyd was brutally murdered by a police officer who was convicted of brutally murdering him. And unfortunately, we saw it all on a cell phone. Otherwise, it would have probably never been reported. I can see you shaking your head there, Destiny. Do you want to say
this
something?
happens all the time. Whenever you debate conservatives, I mean, it's happened here. I've seen it happen in other places. It'll be like, here's the standards for, Republican lawmakers. And then they'll point to like people on Twitter on the other side. Like, well, what about that person? Well, I don't remember voting for George Floyd for president or nominating him for president. The idea that that's your basis of comparison, like, oh, you've got a problem with Donald Trump. Well, what about George Floyd? It's just such a hilariously telling, I think, example.
Well, let me ask you a difficult question.
Well, he was also a criminal that overdosed, but that's another situation.
That still doesn't get him any closer to being nominated for president of the Democratic Party. I don't understand what the comparison is for.
It's just funny to have different standards. You're like, this is fine, but this isn't fine. That's the whole point of that. You don't need to read that deeply into it. It's not that big of a deal.
It's funny to have different. Do you have different standards for different people? Isn't that the point, to have different standards for different people? Like,
yeah.
The point is
I know,
more
once again, that's a
the way
joke.
that
It
they
goes
uplift
far
George
over
Floyd. They
liberals'
put
heads.
him on murals. They have tattoos.